Lesson 8, we'll talk about claim problems and a lot of the common claim codes and what we have to do to resolve claim problems. When claims are processed electronically, they go through multiple claim checks. They may be checked by the practice management software before being transmitted. When they're transmitted to the clearinghouse, when the clearinghouse receives them, they'll usually scrub or check a claim or a batch of claims. When they're transmitted from the clearinghouse to the insurance payer, the payer has certain criteria before accepting a claim for payment or for processing. And even when accepting for processing, the claim still has to go through the insurance adjudication process. And even during this process, it could be adjusted or denied due to coding issues. And when a claim does get rejected or denied, the provider does not get paid at all. So it's important to resolve claim problems as quickly or as early in the process as you can, because the longer a claim goes unpaid, the less likely it is to be paid. And anytime you have unpaid claims, you're going to have an unhappy provider. Why claims don't get paid? Well, typically claim rejections and denials fall into one of three categories. There are the administrative type of errors. Those are incomplete information, typographical errors, data mismatches. There are coding errors, and there are documentation type errors. Now, many times when the claims are transmitted from the practice to the clearinghouse or from the clearinghouse to the payer, a lot of those errors are administrative type of errors. There are also errors that are detected when the claim is being processed by the insurance payer, and those are the codes that are indicated on the remittance advice or the explanation of benefits. These errors are usually due to coding or documentation type of errors, or errors where the payer needs more information. They can be administrative, but it could be situations where the data doesn't match between the payer and the patient information or the provider information. Reason codes. Reason codes and insurance adjustments. When insurance payment is adjusted, after it's been accepted by the insurance payer, there are reason or explanation codes that are provided on the remittance advice. And these are two types of codes. They're the CART code, the Claim Adjustment Reason Code, and the RARC code, the Remittance Advice Remark codes. Now, all insurance payers are required under HIPAA laws to use an ANSI standard for these codes that are explained on the remittance advice. And there can be several adjustments on one insurance payment that are given on an ERA or an EOB. Some common reasons for denial. Well, typical reason codes on an ERA describing why the claim was denied are incomplete claim information, out-of-network provider, failure to obtain pre-authorization, the service was not determined to be medically necessary, the benefit was not covered, patient's no longer covered, pre-existing was not covered by the patient's policy, a lower level of service was more appropriate, the procedure and the diagnosis codes were incorrectly linked or did not agree with each other, the multiple codes were submitted that were included in a bundled service. So these are many of the typical denial reasons that we see when claims are denied or adjusted from the insurance payer. Now, if you don't agree with the reasons, you can appeal the claim, and that should be done with additional explanation or additional documentation. We'll talk a little bit more about the appeal process in just a minute. When errors are detected, the errors encountered at the clearinghouse or when they're transmitted, the claims are transmitted to the insurance payer, don't follow the CARC and RARC convention codes. Payers usually have different conventions and explanations as to why a claim was rejected before they'll accept it for payment. And these can be very cryptic. This can be very frustrating for a billing specialist. I know that's where we spend a lot of time is deciphering those codes and understanding them and looking for interpretation. And you usually have to go to the payer, and they'll have usually a document, a PDF type document on their website that will explain a lot of their errors and what's necessary to correct on the claim in order to get the acceptance by the payer. However, once these claims are accepted by the insurance payer, any adjustments or denials should be explained using the standard CARC and RARC codes. Appealing a claim. The claim appeal process is used when additional explanation or documentation will resolve an insurance payer's reason for why they're denying a claim or reducing the payment. It's also used when you don't agree with what the payer's giving you as a reason for this denial or adjusted payment. The remittance advice typically will give you instructions for how to appeal a claim, but most insurance payers have different processes for appealing a denied claim or a reduced claim. Some require a form to be completed and signed by the provider. Others may accept just a written letter of appeal and provide instructions for doing that. And still others may have an online appeal process that allows you to upload or send information electronically. Medicare and other government payers, they'll have a different appeal process that usually requires a standard form such as the CMS 20027 appeal form. So the appeal process is very helpful in resolving unpaid claims or reduced payments for claims, and it's important to know how to navigate the appeal process for each payer. We go into that in a little more detail in our fundamentals course. So that concludes lesson 8 on claim issues and claim problems and how to resolve them and what some of the common reasons are for claim rejections and denials. So next we'll be looking at lesson 9, posting and applying payments.